If you're looking for more proof that there's trouble in the AAA gaming industry, then look at this article from PC Gamer where in it it's talking about how EA is discussing inserting more advertisements into their video games. This is coming from the Q1 earnings call where in that EA CEO Andrew Wilson told investors that they're looking for ways to increase revenue for their games because I guess just selling them isn't good enough anymore. In his office at EA, Andrew Wilson sits dreaming. Specifically, the CEO is dreaming about ways to deliver ads to EA players up to and including potentially sticking them into corporations' $60 to $70 AAA video games. That's per a recent earnings call between Wilson and EA investors via Tom's Hardware, in which the EA boss was asked if there was plans for more dynamic ad insertion across more traditional AAA games. Wilson's answer: "We have teams internally in the company right now looking at how do we do very thoughtful implementations inside our game experiences." The article does point out that this comes across as something in the early stages, not like it's anything that they're looking to implement just yet. It's just something that they're discussing at the company in order to see if they can use this as an opportunity to make more money for the studio. As we think about the many, many billions of hours spent both playing, creating, watching, and connecting, and where much of that engagement happens to be on the bounds of traditional game experiences, our expectations is that advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us. And I think that's kind of what's going on here, because you see a lot of people watch other content creators play video games on like Twitch and other things like that. So if they can just have like ad breaks throughout it, well, then all the viewers watching that game are going to also see the same ads. So advertisers understand that. So they'd probably be more inclined to put money into advertising on a game if it's going to have a lot of views on Twitch and other platforms like that. But just look at this last bit right here. Our expectation is that advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us, Wilson told investors. Call me old-fashioned, but I think a company that makes a product should be having its primary growth through the sale of that product and not necessarily the nickel and diming the sale of that product. But that's pretty much what EA is saying that they're going to be doing from now on. And that basically is them admitting that they've hit a market cap on the amount of people who are playing their games. So the only thing left for them to do as a company is to try to figure out ways to make more money off of those individuals. They could always raise the price of the sale of the game, but that's only so much that people are willing to pay for a new game. So instead, they're trying to find other avenues to make money off of it. And they've done stuff in the past like microtransactions. This next paragraph talks about other avenues they've approached for advertising in the games. There were Duracell batteries scattered around Alan Wake, real life ads on Burnout Paradise billboards, ads in Street Fighter V, and the one that stands out most strongly in my memory as an immersive sim sicko, ads in a loading screen for Deus Ex Human Revolution. The next paragraph talks about how most people are okay with these sort of things because it does kind of fit in there, like with the FIFA series, how they have real life ads around the stadium and stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's part of the immersion. So it's really not taken away from anything. Most people are okay with that sort of thing. But the fact of the matter that they're talking about something different or whatever, and it's figuring out trying to how to incorporate it in it, which leads me to believe that it is more like shoehorning in just actual advertisements, kind of like when you're watching a YouTube video and then it just cuts to an ad. And that's one of those things that I think a lot of people would be turned off from if they actually tried to do something like that, unless it was, I don't know, like those Chilean beer commercials that they shoehorned into Star Wars.
Cerveza Cristal. Cerveza Cristal.
And the reason why they're doing this is actually pretty simple, because there's not enough people buying their games and they're spending more and more money on producing said games. This is something that's been an issue for quite some time. This article from IGN is from 4 years ago. Ex-PlayStation boss believes current AAA development growth is unsustainable. And then last year we got this article from Games Radar. Not sustainable. Developers across the industry react to The Last of Us Part 2's $220 million budget. And that's the budget for this game. But then you look at this that just came out earlier this year. Warner Brothers Discovery admits to taking $200 million loss on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So $200 million loss. They obviously sold some copies of it. So that means the budget of this was so astronomical and that the player base was just so small that they lost $200 million. And you would think that's when it happened for game companies, because presumably people grow up playing video games, and as newer generations grow up and get older and start playing video games, then they would actually spur the growth of these video game companies. But that's actually not what's happening anymore, because a lot of younger generations are kind of turned off by the current AAA game market and are either going to indie games or even just embracing retro video games and like Super Nintendo and Nintendo games and other things like that, or even just Nintendo 64. Those games are becoming the popular thing right now when AAA game companies are trying to struggle in order to compete with stuff that they've produced in the past. So the only solution that they have, at least in their view, is they can either make better games to appeal to more people, they can either cut the budgets of the current games that they had, or they can try to find ways to wring more money out of the current client base that they already have. And they're taking the third option on this one, and that's not good for the gaming industry, or it's not good for new gamers. But one thing is for sure, as far as gamers go, there is enough backlog of retro content to keep them satisfied until the end of the day. So you don't need to play new games and be happy with that. And as soon as AAA game developers start understanding that, they're going to have to do something in order to change course, because what they're trying to do with this is basically shoehorning in advertisements into their game in order to make more money is only a band-aid. It's not addressing the overall problem, which is that they're not making good quality games anymore and they're spending too much money on their games. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think that there's going to be advertisements in games, or how do you think they're going to incorporate it in a way that's different than how they're currently incorporating advertisements in game? And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to like and share the video because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.